Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't realized, the market is getting smoked. So this is the day where I always get people asking this question. Connor, what do you think my stock's going to do for the day? Or what should I do about this? Or what's this stock going to do? When the market crashes 1,300 points and it's getting smoked, you don't even look at what your stock's doing. Usually, you just look at the stock market. Figure out what the stock market should do, and then you know when your stocks are going to bounce, or you're going to know when your stocks are going to be green. Okay, so for everybody watching this video, just going, well, what about this one? What about this one? Very rare that when the market tanks 13, 14, 1,500 points in a day, that stocks are not red. Very rare that they would be green when the market goes down 1,300 points. First thing. Second, when the market goes down 1,500 points, your stock is most likely resembling the same pattern or function or flow or movement that the S&P 500 is or the Nasdaq is, okay? So if you know that your stock is most likely trading like the major index, then you don't really need to know what yours is doing. You really need to know what the major indexes are doing. So before we go into stocks, we're just going to look at the Nasdaq. To put it simply, you see this red line here at 318.32 or 3. It's really 318 like 20. I don't know, 318.40, something like that. I don't know. I'll hover over it. 318.23. The market will try to sustain and it's gonna try to hold like a little mini bounce around the 318 price. I think the market's bearish enough to go through 318. So 318 is like a mini stopping point for a little mini bounce, I believe. And then I think the market is going to continue shifting through 318, and you're going to see it down to 311.40. If it doesn't go down to 311.40, it doesn't even matter to me, okay? So first, we're looking for this to have like a mini bounce hold. Then we're going to look for this to have a bigger dip buy. So for now, this is where we're anticipating the market would have a good long. As in, if the market came to 311, like today, you looked at the market on QQQ or the Nasdaq, and you see it's trading down at 311.40 for the first time, it's probably a good spot to consider being long bias. And then if the market bounces there, your stock PLTR, it'll bounce. NEO, it'll bounce. Tesla, it'll bounce. Facebook, it'll bounce. Apple, it'll bounce. Roku, it'll bounce. Doesn't really matter. Whatever the market does is probably going to happen to all of those stocks. So when is Facebook going to bounce, Connor? When's Apple going to bounce? When's this going to bounce? Whenever the market does. You literally know when they're all going to bounce. It's when the market does. And right now, a very low risk opportunity for long bias traders to try and bounce the market on the Nasdaq today would be around 311.40, which could change slightly by market open, but you won't know that unless you run the same system. But that's okay. Look for a bounce around the 311.40s to 311.50s on the Nasdaq. Let's look at the 1 minute chart. When that happens, the market's going to be all the way down here. So if the market comes to 318.20, holds for a bit, slides through, we expect weakness in the market to about here, and then a bounce or a hold. And that's where we anticipate stocks are going to kind of stop this sell-off for the day and maybe try to bounce. Now, if for whatever reason the market doesn't bounce down here, then that's a sign we might be having an exceptionally weak market, okay? Now, the stocks that we're going to be watching today are definitely going to be PLTR, because why not? PLTR is just down so much. And if the markets continue to get bearish, we think that this is going to continue sliding out pretty well. The trend looks pretty solid. We think we'd be able to push it down to about $14.67. So we're going to be on the bear side of PLTR today. If the market stayed down, I think we could see PLTR swing down to about 14.70, 14.60s, 14.50s, give or take 10, 15 cents up, down, and we'll be long bias at about that price point. First time when it gets there on today. Okay, next one on the list is going to be NEO, because NEO slid through its support. Now, if you guys remember, we were pretty long bias NEO back here, looking for price targets of like 42 and 43. We got them, and then we wanted to see a price target of even 48 to see if we could get like the next stretch on the upside. Well, that failed, and we ended up rolling down. Now, we haven't really taken part in any of the short, unfortunately. So we do think this can stay bearish, especially if the market does. There is what I would call a mediocre bounce spot at $29.88 in that area. Mediocre bounce spot that I didn't really think was going to hold. And I thought this trend would continue, and we're going to see prices of $25.80 to $26. So if markets stay bearish, new updated price target for NEO down to 25.80s to 26. So short, down, cover, long off to 25.70s, 25.80s, 26 buck area. Okay. There was another thing that jumped today. It was called NETC, a penny stock. NETC, I think, or NTEC. Okay. Don't really know what to make of this one. It's running on no news. The market's down. Penny stocks normally trade like garbage when the market's down like this. So we're probably not going to focus too strongly on this because the volatility is so high in the market right now that anything you look at is pretty much moving up and down and making money. So don't really see a need to focus on the old penny stock. Again, think about it. Penny stocks generally can provide exceptional volatility, more so than large cap stocks. Well, if the market's crashing 1,500%, everything's volatile. You don't need a penny stock for volatility. The volatility is here. So we're probably not going to really focus too much attention on NTEC, and it didn't have news, and it's up for whatever reason. I have no idea. So if you are following this, do note that we have 4-hour resistance at the price of about 523. So your breakout levels through 523 for right now, I believe. 523. Oh, and here at 512. So you have a resistance pocket at 512 to 523, which we've been getting over pre-market and after hours a little bit, and then back under, back over, back under, back over. So just note that your 512 to 523 really is your breakout point, and that's your resistance point. So don't be surprised if you see the stock NTEC jump up to 510, 512, look like it's going to break out, and then roll over down here. That's a very plausible outcome. So with that being said, do be mindful, 510, 520 on NTEC. That's your breakout zone. And then again, if you did actually break that out, your potential next price target on the upside could be as high as 664, and then let's take the daily chart, and that would put you at, this one's at 625. So yeah, if you could break that out, a potential target would be all the way back up to 624, but do also be mindful that it appears that this market has been able to run to about the half deviation mark at 570 and not break that zone. So realistically, a smarter approach would be only looking for a long up to the 570 if you broke 512 and 520, and then watch to see how it trades around 570 to determine if you would actually get a pre-market high successful breakout, at which point it would take you towards the 660s or 620s or whatever the hell I said earlier. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is Gamestop. So Gamestop, for those again that have been following the channel, you will know that we have been talking, this thing is going to go down, it's going to continue down, and we've been right pretty much the whole time, except for this moment in time, which was slightly confusing, which didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But anyways, so we hit our price targets. Our price targets have been, again, from yesterday, our price target was 147. We hit 147 and beyond. So we came down to 147 here, swung much lower now to 136. We're going to remain on the bearish side of GameStop, anticipating you're going to see prices in the near-term future of about $105 on GameStop. That's what we're going for. Again, the trend and the targets change day by day. So today it's really 103.50, but I told you 105 because it's probably not going to hit 103.50 today, which means by tomorrow it'll probably be 105, and then the next day 106, and the next day maybe it's 110, and so on. But right now, in the immediate, if the market on GameStop were to tank, and it ran all the way to 103.50, we would probably bounce 103.50 as per why that would now currently be the target. So 103.50 is a target, probably not going to happen today, but if it did, we would bounce 103.50. Okay, so that's the watch list for the day. Other than that, that's really just it. We got nothing else for you guys. Hope you like the video. Stay tuned for more videos. I appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, all the support. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button, and I'll see you guys on the next pre-market watch.